going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today it's Q&A number 4, I believe. Anyway, so we're just gonna get right into it. Chris, go ahead, start asking some questions.
All right, first guy we got is Grant Joseph 0830. Have you ever been surprised in a race? As far as what you're thinking, you walked the bike but you ended up losing, or he kept up with you?
Well, when it comes to surprises in races, it's actually the opposite. Usually when I get surprised, it's I beat something by more than I thought I was gonna beat it by. I figured the Turbo ZX14 would have done better, but yeah, no. I'd say normally when it comes to losses, usually when I lose a race, I'm expecting that loss. Yeah, for the most part, it's just when I win that's sometimes a surprise.
We have Joshua Davis, and he's asking how hard would it be to essentially take a full max effort bike that you put together and put it back to a stock wheelbase, and how would a single rotor work for a point-to-point racer or a road racer?
Single rotor is probably going to get a lot of brake fade for road racing, but straight line to straight line stuff, it's perfectly fine. It's unnoticeable. In terms of reversing, say, this bike back to stock, you can do it. I just prefer not to. I'd rather, if I were to ever sell this bike, I would sell it as is. It's just laziness at that point. It's a lot of work to go back to stock.
We got Buddha Palm. What gearing do you recommend for a Gen 5 ZX10R in a quarter mile?
Generally, it's tough because the transmissions in those bikes, they're not drag transmissions. They're pretty terrible for that. So I would say no more than -1 in the front, so a 1639 or so. Usually that's what I do when I was stock wheelbase drag racing, and it works pretty good. But I mean, the guy that in Canada who just went 880s, he has stock gearing 1739, so he's doing it all with the clutch, and the bike set up well. That's really all there is to that. So. It depends. It depends on a lot of things. Gearing it's the same for everybody when it comes to the gearing is specific on so many different things. I can't give you a straight answer in terms of this gearing works best.
We have James Kennerly. He's asking about Reloaded and how it's having all this head cam work. Why doesn't it beat bikes that have similar mods or less mods, especially the BN and the Baba Yaga?
The BN and the Baba Yaga. Well, for one thing, the ZX10 is a faster bike than the Gixxer. That's pretty much concrete information at this point. Stock motor for stock motor, the ZX10 is a faster bike. The Gixxer motor is a bit of an incomplete build. It has a top end on it. The cams are a little too big. The head isn't too aggressive of a port for the size of the motor, so it either needs to rev higher or have a bigger piston or something along those lines to kind of bring the power band back down. So realistically, it needs a lighter connecting rod and it needs a bigger piston to kind of bring the power band down, but also be able to rev it north of 15,000 when it needs to go there. And right now, the bike's at 14.8 rev limiter, and it steams right into the limiter, so it really needs some bottom end changing, or a different camshaft, but it's gone too far with that. So at this point, it needs a bottom end. That's what I would do to it. I do think it is faster than the ZX10 now, but I mean, there's other variables that come into play with winning and losing races too. So, but. I don't know if that answers the question, but that's my answer.
We have Zach Carroll. Have you ever raced Chris Burns? And he's making a statement that he bet he won, didn't he?
Nope, I've never raced Chris Burns. Good talk.
Yeah. All right, we have Sticking Clutch. He's asking that after installing an exhaust on his ZX10R, it's extremely loud. He's getting a bunch of crackles and pops and all this noise. Will a tune eliminate the crackling? And what causes it? Is it backfire? Is it back pressure?
Two things is fuel cut needs to be disabled, and so does the pair valve. You need to either do a pair block, and then an ECU flash will get rid of it via not having fuel cut, and then all the popping goes away. This bike doesn't pop once, ever.
Here's Scott Matthews. Can you flash my 2020 BMW S1000RR M? It's titanium macro exhaust.
Let me just stop you right there. No, I can't. I cannot flash BMWs. I use Bren for that. I just do all of the mechanical work to the BMWs. When it comes to ECUs, I have Bren do it.
And we have Partha Sarathi and asking, does lowering a bike help, and in which ways?
Of course it does. It makes the bike stay down, makes the bike far more stable. A lot of people seem to think that lowering a bike makes a bike unstable, which I don't know where that ever came from. 100% the bike is a more stable straight line bike. It's more composed, it does everything better. You do lose lean angle, but you have a lower center of gravity, so the bike is actually more flickable side to side. However, when it comes to max effort turning, you lose lean angle, which ultimately means you lose turning ability. but the bike doesn't just not turn anymore. This bike turns great, and it's slammed 3 inches, so. Yeah, no, in my opinion, lowering a bike does everything better, except you do lose lean angle. But other than that, it's a better bike. That's just my opinion, though. All right, so that pretty much answered all the Q&A questions. There weren't a lot this week. I wanted to use this time to reveal a bike that I'm going to be doing a lot of testing on for somebody else, and that would be the 2020 S1000RR. It's Bren's bike. He had it dropped off to me. I'm going to be doing all sorts of GPS testing to it, be it stock flash, his flash, MR12 in it with his flash. I'm doing a couple little small chassis tweaks too, but nothing crazy. I'm not building the bike or anything like that. And that's this bike right over here. All right, so coming next week, we're going to be starting to see some footage of this bike. I'm going to probably try and get some races in with Juan, a couple of those guys like that, maybe even reload it too at some point. I really have to do a lot of testing on it though, because I'm trying to help him out and seeing what works and what doesn't work, so he's probably going to be sending me some flashers along those lines. So, for the most part, stay tuned for more of that and this bike next week. That's pretty much it for this video, so as usual, take care guys, and I'll see you in the next one.